Over yesterday, we were in Kansas City at the IBEW Local 124, the Union Hall, celebrating KKFI in Kansas City. Wonderful to meet Connie and all the friends there. As we turn, though, now to, well, an international story, a report on the state of the Gazan economy, where unemployment and poverty rates are among the highest in the world. Despite international pledges of over $5.2 billion to rebuild Gaza, in the 4 months since Israel's assault, the siege has not been lifted, and only one truck carrying cement and other construction materials has been allowed to entry into the Gaza Strip, according to the Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs in the Occupied Palestinian Territories. This truck, which Israel permitted in late March, was the first carrying construction materials to be granted entry since last November. Democracy Now!'s Anjali Kamat traveled to Gaza with Jackie Suin of Big Noise Films last month. She filed the story.
Gaza is now a land of ruins. On December 27, 2008, Israel launched a brutal 22-day military operation in the Gaza Strip that killed over 1,400 Palestinians, the vast majority civilians. In addition to government and United Nations buildings, it is estimated that 21,000 homes were destroyed in all, leaving 100,000 people homeless. Over 600 industries and small businesses in Gaza were razed to the ground, sustaining $180 million in damages, according to the United Nations Development Program. The industrial zone in Azbata Bedrabbo in northern Gaza once housed about 60 workshops and industries. Now it's just a pile of rubble and twisted metal. Abu Amar established the Haddad tile factory and warehouse here just 5 years ago. During Israel's latest assault on Gaza, he closed the factory and moved his family to the relative safety of Gaza City.
When we returned after the war, this is what we found. When we first came back, we couldn't even recognize our neighborhood. It was like an earthquake, magnitude 10.0, not just 6.0. This is what we found. If there was any resistance, it must have been from here all the way to the Wafa hospital, 1.5 miles away. They didn't spare a single house or factory, or anything between here and the hospital. I consider this the result of an official decision by the Israeli government to destroy the entire area. We've incurred losses of $2,200,000.
Salem Darroj used to work at a cement factory in the same area. Now, he too has joined the burgeoning ranks of the Palestinian unemployed, which some economists estimate has now risen to a staggering 70% in the Gaza Strip.
There's nothing going on here, as you can see. Everything is closed. The cars are stopped, the workers are unemployed, and everything is destroyed, as you can see. We are here guarding the business of the people we work for. We can't just leave everything lying around in the open. But at the same time, we can't ask for our salaries.
A quarter of Gaza's population depended on agriculture for survival. Now, nearly half of the Strip's agricultural land, infrastructure, and livestock and poultry farms are ravaged. The Food and Agriculture Organization estimates $268 million of losses to Gaza's agriculture sector. Almost all of the 13,000 families reliant on farming, fishing, and herding have been directly impacted. We visited one such family in the Zaytun neighborhood of Gaza City, where 29 members of the Sammuni family were killed. 38-year-old Nahil Sammuni and her husband were farmers. He was injured and buried alive in the Israeli attack, finally rescued from a pile of rubble and corpses 4 days after being given up for dead. He's too weak to work, and his once lush farmland is now a devastated landscape.
All of this is farmland. We used to grow chard, lettuce, turnips, radish, all from here. We'd sell it in the market and get some money to feed our children. Now our land is spoiled. Everything is destroyed. What can we do? We used to have sweet, tart pomegranates behind our home. So many plums, apricots, all right behind our house. Now the olives, figs, everything is gone. We tended to our plants like our own children, so they would grow and we could eat from them. Now see what they did to us. What did we do wrong?
Hamid Sammouni says the people of Zaytun are simply too traumatized to go back to work.
There's absolutely no work, and even if there were jobs, people wouldn't be able to work. People here are haunted by what happened and don't have the mental capacity to work. After what they saw, they can't work. 29 members of a single family gone. What's left? What's left? Small children like these, what's their fault? Do they have rockets? What do they know of resistance? An infant still breastfeeding from its mother. Is he part of the resistance too? I mean, they even bombed chicken farms too. How can chickens be in the resistance?
John Ging, the head of the United Nations Relief and Works Agency, holds out little hope for reconstruction under these conditions.
There's going to be no reconstruction in Gaza until the crossing points open. There isn't a bag of cement coming into Gaza at the moment. We have had to, reopen our schools without conducting the repairs because there is nothing, there's no glass to fix the windows or do the basic repairs that are needed. We just have to make safe the area that is damaged and get on.
But the economic devastation of Gaza did not begin with this latest assault that Israel dubbed Operation Cast Lead. Since 1967, Israel has maintained full control over Gaza's borders. The restrictions grew tighter after Hamas won the elections in January 2006, and the blockade became a full-scale siege in June of 2007 when Hamas forces defeated those of rival Fatah, solidifying its control of the Gaza Strip. Palestinian economist Omar Sha'ban laid out the economic and political consequences of the siege, now in its 22nd month.
Since the closure in 2007, 95% of the Palestinian factories in Gaza closed down. We have 4,000 small businesses in Gaza. 200,000 workers become unemployed in Gaza. And to make it clear to you, this 200,000 have no other option except joining the militia. They will become more radicals. The siege, which was imposed by Israel, everybody knows now, it failed to bring any peace and moderation to the Palestinian society. This siege left Hamas with no competitors. Hamas is the only player in Gaza. So the international community should stop to blame us, and they start to blame themselves for the wrong policy that they were imposing in Gaza.
So the siege is at the center of everything. It's at the center of human misery, it's at the center of violence, it's at the center of desperation and a growing sense of hopelessness. Before this particular round of conflict, we had a situation where the economy had been destroyed under the siege. There was no commercial activity whatsoever. And the humanitarian effort just to sustain people with basic food and medicine and so on, this was a struggle. In fact, in November of last year, we ran out of food because we weren't able to get in sufficient quantities of food. For the first time in 60 years of UNRWA's operation here, we actually ran out of food. We normally carry 2 months' reserves, but we depleted all of our reserves because we were getting in insufficient quantities to actually meet the demands. At that point, there were 750,000 refugees food aid dependent. Again, this is the inevitable consequences of having no economy.
Today, over 1.1 million people in Gaza are dependent on international donations and agencies like UNRWA, UNICEF, and the World Food Programme. With all legal exit and entry points sealed by Israel and Egypt, the 1.4 million Palestinians squeezed into Gaza's 140 square miles of land have been forced to turn underground for survival.
The Israeli closed the whole border, so the Palestinian has no other option except to dig tunnels to Egypt to bring commodities and to bring some services.
We decided to take a look at Gaza's underground economy for ourselves and headed south to Rafah, where the air is thick with the buzz of US-made F-16s overhead. The tunnels lie below a very visible network of tents stretched along the border with Egypt. We lowered ourselves 100 feet into a tunnel which was still under construction. We spoke to the man running the motorized system, bringing excess sand to the surface. He wouldn't give us his name, but told us why he risked his life working in the tunnels.
This work is very difficult, but we have no choice. We have to work in order to eat. If the crossings were open and the goods and cement were coming in, there's no way I would be doing this. If we work, we eat. If not, we go hungry. This is our only means, our only livelihood. As long as the crossings are closed, there's no alternative to the tunnels.
Before January, there were nearly 1,000 tunnels along the border. Now only 400 are operational. The tunnels have been the targets of deadly, almost daily airstrikes by Israel, which accuses Hamas of using them to smuggle in weapons. While the man we spoke with denied the tunnels are used to bring in weapons, there's no denying that the tunnels serve as Gaza's only conduit to the outside world. They bring in everything required to